All right. Hello, GISers. Let's get started. My name is Myra McShane, and I am your room monitor for this session titled Enable and Empower Your Workplace with ArcGIS Indoors. Our speakers for this session are Ethan Franklin and Andy Stewart from ESRI, or Esri, I suppose is what we're calling them now. Ethan is a member of the ArcGIS Indoors Smart Cities team and is passionate about bringing location analytics to the great indoors through operationalized workplace floor plans and leveraging real-time data to discover correlation between people, assets, and integrated systems. Andy is a solutions engineer also on the ArcGIS Indoors Smart Cities team. He is driven to enable others in using indoor mapping technology for creating a smarter, sustainable built environment. In this presentation, Ethan and Andy will talk to us about the full capabilities of ArcGIS Indoors and how they can be implemented for organizations to increase productivity, drive organizational value, and save time, effort, and money. As a reminder, this session is being recorded, and please use the chat to comment or ask questions. They will be addressed at the end of the presentation. And now I give you Ethan and Andy.
Great, thank you, Myra. Thanks for the great introduction. I'll turn my camera on here. We're really excited to be here this morning, or noon if you're on the East Coast, and talk with you all today about ArcGIS Indoors, especially just because, for the state of Indiana, I have a special place in my heart for what we've done with ArcGIS Indoors at the state. And I'll kind of tell a little bit of a story as we go along. So to get started here, first, I wanted to start by talking about kind of trends and changes that we're seeing in facilities management, in the mapping of buildings and the needs of a lot of our customers, and the role that Indiana actually played in that. So facilities management is definitely transforming. But the first bullet here, Indiana had a really large part to play. So there's a big focus on the change from dedicated space to flexible space. And I'm going to talk about some of these main points and use cases. And then Andy's actually going to show you today what that looks like. We're going to show you our space planner applications, our maps, our apps, and how these things are used by customers like Indiana. But at UC in 2019, I met with Megan Compton, the GIO for the state, and she said, we have a real need to do space management. We need to be able to do hoteling specifically. And we listen to our users, we listen to our customers and what they need. I went back to the product team, described this, and we built a hoteling solution using ArcGIS Indoors. And it'll make a little bit more sense as we go through this presentation. But then later at the end of that year, early 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic happened. And all of a sudden, all organizations needed to better understand how to manage space, how to bring people back into the office whenever that might happen, where to place people, and to do flexible seating and flexible space arrangements. And because of the foresight from the state of Indiana, we were well prepared to meet the needs of all of our customers. So a huge part of how facilities management is transforming, and a big takeaway for today, I think for everyone, especially the demos we show, is thinking about how to better use space, how to better manage space, and how to enable flexible work environments now that is the norm. We have other large counties and cities across the United States that use that same hoteling solution, and they're really transforming the way they use their facilities. Also very important, we'll talk about traditional uses of GIS for facilities and buildings is transforming reactive maintenance into condition-based maintenance. So that's about actually better managing the assets and the life cycles of assets within buildings and your facilities. These types of changes really lead to increased reliability and throughput of your space and of your buildings, and how your employees and occupants of buildings in general are better able to use resources. And of course, improving the bottom line, shrinking operating costs across the entire enterprise or the entire real estate portfolio is really a main goal. And I really like to start our conversation this morning with data, with facility data, what that means. And if it's important to kind of think about it this way, because then everything else I think will make a lot of sense. This is kind of the foundation, right? How are we currently managing buildings? What data do we have available? And how do we take that and transform that into something like what Andy's going to show you, these actual maps and apps and interactive tools. So every digital transformation starts with data. Ours just happens to be facility data. And facility managers are looking for insights from their data to make better decisions faster. But unfortunately, right now, most organizations have CAD drawings, spreadsheets, pen, paper. This is how buildings are managed. And then on top of that, there's IWMS. These are workplace management systems. Screenshots for different systems. It stores facility operation data. Then there's also CMMS systems, maintenance management systems, that stores capital facilities data. Then there's service management platforms. These store internal services, information, tickets, work orders, those types of things. So at one way or another, I'm sure you interact with some of these different types of systems, but it really takes a lot of information, right, to run our businesses and run the state. So, you know, the takeaway here is these systems store thousands of different kinds of records. They can be a really big pain to sort through, use, and maintain. Definitely not shareable. And there was a study done by the University of Delaware's Biden School of Public Policy and Administration, and they recommended launching a centralized database of state lands and facilities. And even if it's not a state, right, for any organization, the concept still applies. Launching a centralized database to help support tracking inventory, enabling collaboration between working groups, instituting data-driven facilities management, and executive systematic acquisition and disposition of resources, right? So really, you know, in the theme of GIS Day, using GIS to really transform the way we organize and maintain lands and facilities. And this is, you know, this is what ArcGIS Indoors is built to do. It extends the life cycle of CAD and BIM, which are computer-aided design, computer-aided drawings, like AutoCAD, and BIM, which is building information models. Either like Revit files, like 3D models of buildings, right? So extending CAD and BIM as interactive indoor maps. So taking it from the project files, as-built, or design files that an architectural engineering construction firm delivers when they build a building, and maintain that and use that for operational purposes and for, you know, actual occupants to use as well, because not everyone can take a CAD floor plan and navigate or something like that, right? So ArcGIS Indoors, if anyone's wondering, models your sites, buildings, and floors all in a single view, and offers interoperability with those systems I mentioned, those maintenance management systems, workplace management systems, but also kind of thinking in the future, and kind of have some fun today for GIS Day. We're thinking about IoT and real-time location solutions as well. You know, IoT is, you know, Internet of Things, actually the sensors across floor plans, and RTLS systems that actually track movement of assets and things and the status of things and people possibly. So those are RTLS, real-time location tracking systems. So, you know, we can show those types of things today, but really it's all about taking a foundational map and using it for all different types of workflows. So the first real use and use case that I like to mention that I think is easy to see the value for is being able to visualize facility data, right? Actually being able to use a browser-based application on your computer, or a iPhone application, or an Android application. So we have a mobile app, the Indoors iOS and Android application you can download from Google Play Store, Apple App Store. You would just need to connect it to a portal that's hosting your organization's maps. But being able to put maps in the hands of occupants to use daily. And this is about, you know, authoritative maps accessible for everyone, right? So we could create different map views for different people. So you have a public-facing map. I know I traveled to Indianapolis, met with the state of Indiana before COVID prevented that, and heard from the teams talking about wanting to put a kind of a tourist application or a tourist map available for the public to use to navigate your government center there. And that would be one map example, but then there's also needs for the facilities management and actual occupants that are doing hoteling and room reservations that work for the state. As an example, that would be a same floor plan, but a different map view, different access to different assets. You don't want employee names or something showing publicly. So creating different map views and enabling everyone with these new patterns of interaction. So hoteling, meeting room reservations, things like that is one example of a new pattern of interaction. We have an application called Space Planner, space management, that Andy will show today that we can demonstrate what hoteling means. Next is really important for anyone who's curious about the work orders, the ticketing systems, anyone in facilities management specifically, because using facility maps that are organized in a GIS, when you have assets and points of interest mapped and made visual, that is something that is really exciting to anyone that needs facility maps daily, which definitely facility management teams do. So now you don't have stakeholders wondering where do I go when I need access to facility information, or if I want to share it, is it okay if I share it with these people? Are they going to be able to open this file on their computer? Do I need to check with someone before I share this information? You are able to share maps easily, and users of those maps can respond to requests for data and services faster and collaborate better, and just spend more time focused on finishing their tasks. And I have a little anecdotal story that helps explain this. We had a customer where their facilities department was measured on how many work orders they resolved, like every quarter, every year, right? That was what they were measured on. When you have occupants using the mobile app, for example, to navigate to their space or to their colleague's office and book an actual meeting space or desk to use for the day, like for hoteling, if they see something that they wanted to submit an incident report on, maybe fire extinguisher is broken, or the sink is broken in the bathroom, or this area needs to be sanitized, that's kind of a big deal right now, right? They can take a picture, fill out a quick form, hit submit. It goes to the facility manager that shows a geo-referenced work order. They know exactly where that issue is and what that issue is. So this particular customer was able to crowdsource information about the building by that workflow. So they received many more requests because the barrier to submission was easier. So more people were doing it, highlighting the need for better facility maintenance to keep the building and workplace safe and current. So that was just a kind of a story there, but kind of helps explain that. And lastly, I mentioned this, reducing operating costs, right? Improve the bottom line of the organization. Facility and workplace operations teams especially dream of shrinking that backlog of reactive maintenance tasks. Maybe it's reduced costly space fragmentation when you are able to map teams and departments and who has access to what space, you're able to use it much more effectively. So with easier access to facility data, enabling faster collaboration among project stakeholders, that dream becomes much more of a reality, right? So it's about the right tools given to data managers across an enterprise to prioritize planning and allocation of those resources so you can make strategic decisions, whether you defer maintenance or right size your footprint, things like that. During our user conference this past year, we have a few customers present on ArcGIS Indoors. King County, where Seattle's located, presented. They're actually going to use ArcGIS Indoors to enable 100% hoteling spaces across their entire county because they have their eye on 2 or 3 buildings that are leased that they want to give up their lease on to save costs, and right size their footprint. So being able to do those types of things so your entire organization can flourish. So I'm just going to take a couple more minutes and I'm going to just talk about data, how this system is put together, and then I'm going to pass it to Andy. So this is a little bit more on the technical side, but I think it helps a little bit. So CAD data is what most organizations have. These are, as-built drawings. They represent, how the building was built and designed, and they come as a DWG or DGN file, and they don't always represent current conditions. And that's because it lacks a backend database to drive symbology and annotation or support feature relationships to query and analyze, or a multi-user editing environment to keep them current. So all these things that we're able to do with data in GIS and make it shareable and actionable. CAD is wonderful. CAD is great for designing, but it's not a good operational tool. So being able to convert these drawings into GIS, and then you'll see the demos and use them in this way. So this is really about operationalizing computer-aided drawing and building information models. We can ingest either of those into an Indoors information model from Esri and publish all these maps, apps, and services that Andy's going to show. So that's how we make this real. And then once we've done that, we can connect with all types of other systems, right? So there's enterprise asset management systems out there, workplace management systems, maintenance management systems, all the workplace tools like Office 365 and all those types of things, right? Being able to use location as the common key between these systems, right? Using maps, either indoor or outdoor, as the foundation, we can integrate facility, space, asset management, work order management systems, right? Because if we have a cubicle number or an office number, and that's tied all the way through the GIS, we can take that same cubicle number. So if you want to tie an asset to that space, that's how we're able to connect all these things together. And this is my last slide. Just wanted to kind of show overall things that the ArcGIS Indoors platform can be used for. I put some white boxes around the things that are most needed right now and that Indiana started with. Space management, occupant experience tools, that's reservations, bookings of space, navigation through facilities, launching of service requests, those types of things. And also for facilities management. So doing work planning, building facility management dashboards, seeing where work orders are located, and enabling the ability for service technicians to complete those faster and things like that. Okay, so that's it from me here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Andy, and I'll let you show the team what it actually looks like.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Ethan. Let me just go ahead and share. Let me know if you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ethan. Okay, so the first demonstration I'm going to show is called the ArcGIS Indoors Web Viewer. And the ArcGIS Indoors Web Viewer acts as a single pane of glass for all of your facility information. So what we're currently looking at is floor plans in 3D. Specifically, if you needed to, you can choose a specific site that you need to visualize that data for. And then you can also choose a specific building that maybe you need to visualize, understand, and interpret. So here we're looking at building L. And with building L selected, let's go ahead and turn off this trees data so you can actually see and visualize this floor plan, is that we can add other types of assets to this model. So for instance, if I wanted to, I can go ahead and add all of my work orders or say security reports, safety and security assets, and retail and services locations, and place in things at locations as well. And this information that we're currently seeing loaded here into the model is allowing us to understand and interpret from a 3D perspective of where those assets, equipment, work orders are inside of our building. And then additionally, if we needed to, we can easily search and find one of those assets, work order, people, place it in things, locations by coming up here to our quick search functionality. So with ArcGIS Indoors, we do a lot of integrations. One of those integrations is Active Directory. So if I go ahead and I search for my own location, you'll see an information pane pop over here on the right side. So from Active Directory, we can actually go ahead and we can pull a lot of that data out and we can have it in the application for us to visualize. A lot of that data from HR could be really useful, such as the way I'm just searching for my own occupant location by having information that supplies who I am, my email, my cost center department, cost center number, even my contact extension. And additionally, from having data such as this, we're able to actually provide routable directions going to and from a location. So if I wanted to, I can pull up directions to understand and navigate how I'm supposed to go from my current assigned location to maybe say another destination. Here, I can go ahead and type in, say, the headquarters building here on site and understand and interpret how I'm supposed to navigate going to and from that location. And very quickly you'll see that blue bar, that's representational of how I'm supposed to go from one point to another. Here I'm starting at my assigned location, and you can see I'm just selecting the various directional segments to understand and interpret how I'm supposed to reach that destination. It's allowing me to understand and interpret from an outdoor perspective and indoor perspective of how I'm supposed to get to that final destination over in this building. Additionally, if we needed to, we can visualize all this data in 2D as well. So if I come back to 2D, you'll see that we also have the navigational routes in 2D. I'll go ahead and make sure I'm on the first floor so you can see the path actually highlighted here in dark blue, representational of the floor that I'm currently looking at, to understand and interpret how I'm supposed to reach from my assigned location to that final destination over here in the headquarters building. Another important capability to note with the ArcGIS Indoors Web Viewer is that it provides the amount of time it will take and the total distance it will take to get to that final destination. And then additionally, you can play the directions out loud. This supports those that can't actually see the directions but need to listen to them. Another important capability is being able to have the directions auto navigate based on if you need to, having somebody that needs accessibility of finding out how they're supposed to get to and from a location. So an example would be, say that individual needs to take the elevator instead of the stairs because they're not able to access the stairs, then they can switch the directions to understand and interpret how they're supposed to provide directions on getting to and from a location through the elevator instead of the stairs. And then additionally, like ramps, for example, if you're going inside of a building, having the directions support bimodal directional support allows you to actually understand and interpret how you're supposed to get to that location using a ramp instead of the stairs. Additionally, the ArcGIS Indoors Web Viewer supports other types of functionality, such as being able to explore for those assets here in 2D. So if I went ahead and I go ahead and I come over here to my layers list and I go ahead and turn on those layers that we had turned on in 3D earlier, and I zoom in on those locations, you'll start to see them populate in their exact spots, such as like parking spots, fire safety and security equipment, additionally exits and entrances for the buildings, all the data that's really important maybe to the occupant inside and outside of their facilities. An example would be if an occupant needs to find the closest fire extinguisher to their assigned location. If they come to the safety and security category here within the Explore pane and they drill into fire extinguishers, they'll be able to find the fire extinguisher that's closest to their assigned location. By ascending order, it will show the closest fire extinguisher to their assigned location. I currently sit here M1NE335, just to provide reference. Another important functionality with the ArcGIS Indoors Web Viewer is being able to leverage QR code scans. So if I go ahead and I search for my assigned location here in the building, which is right here, M1NE330, and then I went ahead and I come here to related items, I can see the assigned location that I'm currently at, M1NE330, and go ahead and select that building unit. With that building unit selected, we can see all the information regarding it here in the information pane. And additionally, if I needed to, I can get that information on the mobile device. As you saw me select this, get this information on mobile down here at the information pane, it allows me to actually pull up a QR code uniquely for every single building unit inside of our facility. So say if you're an inspector, or say if you're a technician, or say if you're just a regular occupant inside your building and you need to understand and get out into the field with your mobile device, you can easily select that information, get this information on mobile, and pull up a QR code automatically on your screen. So I'll show you how to actually use that QR code for launching to the ArcGIS Indoors mobile application to pull up that location. Okay, awesome. So I'll just go ahead and pull up my mobile. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my camera just to scan that QR code. Next step is to provide a multi-factor authentication. So sometimes we want our maps to be more secure than others. For this particular instance, we can have a single sign-on authentication step for those occupants that need to experience their maps. We don't necessarily need the single sign-on if we want the maps to be more public-facing. As soon as I sign in, you'll see that it'll take me to a prompt where I can select if I want to open in the mobile application or if I want to continue in the web application. So if occupants don't have the mobile application downloaded to their cell phone, they can continue to the web application and experience it in their Safari browser or Google Chrome browser. If they already have the mobile application downloaded on their cell phone, they can go ahead and continue to open up the location here in reference on their mobile device. So then very quickly, it'll pull up the location I'm currently assigned to, M1NE330, for reference on my mobile device. So as quickly as that, I was able to actually pull up the location that I referenced on my desktop, my computer, all within my mobile device. And then additionally, the information pane that you saw over here in the web viewer application is supplied over here in the mobile application as well. So if you're on the go and you need those information fields as well, you'll have them here in the mobile device. Another important component with the ArcGIS Indoors mobile application is being able to support being able to create work orders. So one of the things that Ethan had mentioned in the presentation earlier was being able to launch off of a building unit and create a work order for a problem. So say if I select here M1NE335, Allison Ince is a close coworker of mine. I noticed the light bulb that was broken inside of her room. Very quickly, if I needed to, I could pull up her current location down here, M1NE335. And then what I can do is I can actually launch a problem report here with my launch actions. So with the building unit selected, I can use a third-party system, a computerized maintenance management system, to launch to create that problem report. For this instance, I'm going to be using Survey 123. Survey 123 is part of the ArcGIS ecosystem of applications, a suite of applications. It allows you to actually crowdsource information all on the fly for any type of issues you see within inside your buildings and outside your buildings as well. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and say it's electrical, but you can see all the other types of problem reports I can submit, like mechanical, plumbing. And then additionally, if I needed to, I can set the status, I can set the priority, say it's critical. I need that light pole fixed for Allison real quick. I'm going to go ahead and fill out the issue, electrical lighting, specific products. Say it's a light bulb problem. Additionally, I can add a issue description. I can add a due date. Let's go ahead and want the due date to be set for next week. I need it done immediately for Allison. And then I can go ahead and take a picture of the problem. So we can see here this light bulb. For instance, this light bulb's not working. So I'll go ahead and use that as the photo for context of the issue that we're seeing. And then additionally, with having the information for your building stored in floor plans, we're able to extract all that data and bring it into the survey. So here you can see the building that it's associated to, the floor, the level ID, and the room, which is really important because once you submit this work order, I'll go ahead and submit it. We'll see it appear within the ArcGIS Indoors web viewer and the ArcGIS Indoors mobile. So I'll come over here to my layers list, turn on work orders, zoom out for context, and now we'll see that electrical problem that's been just submitted for Allison's room, that light bulb issue. So very quickly, you can have those work orders generated for the exact location that they're happening, and that allows a technician that's out in the field to access it on their mobile device. So if I come back to my mobile device, say I'm that technician, I need to see where that work order is, I can go into my Explore panel here, drill into the work orders category, specifically say if I'm an electrical technician, drill into electrical, and then what I can do is I can find that recently submitted electrical light bulb issue for its exact location here on the map. So that's one way of being able to actually crowdsource information very quickly on the fly using your floor plan data in ArcGIS Indoors and then seeing the actual problem report in your floorware maps. Another important functionality is being able to have that information all within a dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and pull over a dashboard from my other screen so we can see it from a single pane of glass. Essentially, by having a single pane of glass of all your work orders stored within a dashboard, it allows us to understand and interpret where those work orders are happening inside your facility. So for this instance, if I needed to, I can actually filter for the floor, and I can see the information panes over on the left side update, as well as the indicators at the very bottom that are providing the work order types update based on the floor appearance. Another important functionality with this dashboard is being able to actually see the actual work orders by the submission. So if I needed to find that light bulb that was just submitted by ascending order, I can see that, and I can pull up context over here on the right side pane. Additionally, if I needed to, I can see the work orders down here by the types. If I zoom in on that location, you'll see that the indicators also update as well to provide relevancy regarding the extent of the map that I'm currently looking at. So the amount of work orders I'm currently seeing within the map itself are relayed down here in the indicators to provide a very intro way of looking into what the work orders are associated to for your building. So you can see here that we have a lot of information technology problems regarding our facility in this general location. Additionally, if you needed to, you can have graphs as well with inside your dashboard, so you can see the work order status, the work order priority, the due dates, so you can see the history of all those work orders by their due dates. And additionally, you can see the date submission. So you can see the volume of work orders maybe for a given time of the day, for a given day of the week. So you can see here November 4th, for example, had like a spike of amount of work orders coming in regarding people submitting work orders for the problems that they're seeing with inside their facilities. So from having a dashboard like this allows facility managers and computerized maintenance management platforms to easily have integrations and accessibility to all the issues that are happening within inside their buildings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over into showing how ArcGIS Indoors can serve for flexible work scheduling and for the purpose of reassigning and assigning employees to workstations. So we're going to take a step back from what we just visualized. This was really heavy on work order management, but now we're going to see how it can actually serve for space planning and space management. So this next application I'm going to currently show is called ArcGIS Indoors Space Planner. The ArcGIS Indoors Space Planner application is also floor aware, so easily if you needed to, you can target a specific building here on site and visualize that floor plan data. The enhancement here with the Space Planner application is that now, if you needed to, you can actually locate where people are inside their inside the floor plans and reassign and unassign individuals from those spaces. So say if we have a clustering of individuals over here, you can see a couple of their names spelled out on top of the building unit that they're currently assigned to. We can unassign those individuals very quickly. I'll come down here to my cursor at the very bottom. I'll use the drag tool. I'll select those locations, and then I can unassign all those individuals from those assigned units. And you'll see the color symbology for those spaces update as well, from those oranges and dark shade blues, which represent people currently assigned to those offices, to this light shade blue, which represents that no one's currently assigned to it. No one's assigned to those spaces. So from having people that are not currently assigned to workstations, now what I can do is that those non-assigned individuals, if I needed to, I can assign them into the proper location. So with the not assigned individuals over here, I can go ahead and drag them into the right location that I need them assigned to. Very quickly, you'll start to see that their names populate on top of the building unit that I'm assigning them to in their correct location. Additionally, if I wanted to, I can come over here to my people's list and I can filter for individuals that maybe I need to assign to this location based on a certain criteria that I need to fulfill. If I come here to filter, specifically, I can filter for them based on their current facility, department, job title, team. So let's just say if I needed to filter for those individuals working in domestic marketing department and filter for the team that they currently work on, which is marketing, and filter for the actual title, which is marketing technician, I'll get a list of all those individuals that fulfill that criteria. So now I have marketing technicians that I can assign to the workstations over here as well to fulfill this workspace. Another important component with the ArcGIS Indoor Space Planner is that you can assign offices to office hotels for flexible workstations. So if I come here to the hotels button, you'll see that I already have a workstation set up for that hotel area called flexible workstations. Let's create a new hotel area and let's call this business development department. And once I've set up this hotel area, I can go ahead and prescribe individuals to this specific office hotel area to work from. So from the list of not assigned employees that I had removed earlier, let's assign all 17 to have the accessibility of flexible work. So I'll assign them to the hotel area called Business Development Department. So now all 17 individuals are able to actually reserve one of those workstations. Additionally, I need to actually set up office hotels that they can reserve from. So for this instance, I'll come down here to my cursor and I'll go ahead and select a couple of these so that you can see them change color to be representational of the office hotel that they are now assigned to. And I'll just make sure to assign them to the Business Development Department, the newly created office hotel area. And very quickly, all 6 of those building units will now be prescribed to that Business Development Department hotel area. So now, as an end user, you can access the office hotels using your mobile application or the ArcGIS Indoors web viewer application. So one of those 17 individuals that are now assigned to the Business Development Department, what they can do is they can come into the ArcGIS Indoors web viewer application. I'll go ahead and turn off all these layers so that we don't have to see all of them at this moment in time. Next step is to go into the hotels button in our quick access bar and actually filter for the business development department hotel area. And we'll see those office hotels that we can reserve from. So I'll come into filter. Next step is to actually choose the offices that I want. So let's just say business development department, go ahead and apply. And then what will happen is I'll get a list of all those workstations I can reserve from, say, the business development department. And then additionally, acting as, say, one of those employees that's actually reserving one of those workstations, you can go ahead and click book over here in your quick access bar, or in the information pane, you can also click book. When you do click book, you'll get a prompt that will ask you if you want to set the timeline for all day. You can choose all day, or you can choose for a specific time of the day for a given date of the week. You can also view your schedule as well. So if you're integrating your Outlook calendar, or say you're integrating your Google Calendar, you have invitations and calendar meetings that are happening throughout the week, and you want to align that office hotel area that you're going to reserve for flexible work in between those meetings, you can actually adjust that based on the actual time that you want it set for. Once you confirm that request, you'll receive a notification that it's been confirmed. And then what you can do is you can add it to your calendar. So here you're able to download an ICS file that will be added to your Outlook calendar, or you can add it to your Google Calendar. And then additionally, if you need to, you can add it to your phone calendar as well. So I'll just go ahead and show what that looks like. I'll go ahead and download that ICS file. I'll go ahead and open it up on the screen so you can just visualize and see that real quick. And here you can see that it's just a calendar invitation that I can actually save and close and add it to my Outlook calendar, or I can add it to my Google Calendar as well if I wanted to download it that way. And then really importantly, for those users that don't remember that they had reserved that workstation, they can easily use the hyperlink here in the calendar invitation to reopen the location that they just booked. And then additionally as well, just real quick, I wanted to show this, that you saw the color symbology behind that building unit reserved for the individual that just booked that space. So that's going to allow the end user to be able to zoom out and easily identify that orange space as the reserved workstation that they had booked, to be able to navigate to and from that location. So from having the ArcGIS Indoors web viewer, the ArcGIS Indoors Space Planner leveraged and used for space planning purposes, assigning and reassigning employees, and opening it up for office hoteling, it makes it really easy for end users to be able to reserve one of those flexible workstations and be able to book one of those workstations as well. And then one more thing that I wanted to demonstrate is the Arc Operations dashboard that's for space management. Real quick, you can see here that we have a dashboard that provides the information analytics behind vacancy versus occupancy of space. So from having the ArcGIS Indoor Space Planner application set up and unassigning and reassigning employees, now you can see here with the data itself that provides analytics behind what's going on for a vacancy of occupancy of space. So as we're assigning and unassigning individuals from locations, we're able to have indicators over here on the left side for our dashboards, provide the number of vacant offices and the total number of vacant spaces, same with the total number of occupied spaces. And then if we zoom in even further, you'll see that those indicators adjust and are pointed at the extent of the map that's being visualized and seen here. Also, another important perspective to look at with this dashboard is that you can get gross by net square footage of your facilities. So if you're doing a lot of facilities management and fact bookkeeping, and you need to know what's the facilities net square footage and gross square footage comparisons, you can easily have a graph that visualizes and sees that data as well. Another important perspective is to look at the total number of spaces based on their use count, or the space based on their space use types. So here you can see that I have quite a few office cubicle administratives. And then seeing the total net square footage by use type. So this allows you to understand and interpret what's the most common space that I'm using within my floor plans. And here you can see office cubicle administrative once again has the most net square footage by space use type. So from having a dashboard like this allows us to come back to the perspective of being able to manage the data even better, from having these analytics that are portrayed over here on the left side and seeing the actual maps themselves over here at the very center of the screen. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Ethan.
Hey guys, I just sorry Ethan. I just wanted to let you guys know that we have 5 minutes left in this session. So, and it seems like we're getting close to wrapping up as well. So, just letting you know, 5 minutes.
Yeah, yep, perfect. 5 minutes left. Love to take any questions and provide any answers if anyone, Myra, are they able to come off mute and ask if they'd like?
We've got them typing their questions and comments into the chat, and I can read them off. Or if you can see the chat as well, you can see. You can go ahead and read them. But if you'd like me to, I can read them off.
No, I saw one came in. So asking what products or licensing is required to use this functionality. So I put a quick reply in there. ArcGIS Indoors is licensed, and it can use, it needs to use either ArcGIS Enterprise, which is an on-prem hosting environment, or ArcGIS Online, which are also products from Esri, and that one's a cloud-based environment. So it depends on if you have a cloud or on-prem based strategy for your organization, or if there's any security requirements or anything like that that is used to take that into consideration. But we can license ArcGIS Indoors, and that comes with all the tools that are required to do these things. So an ArcGIS Pro license for GIS professionals, they come with an extension that allows for like routing, configuration, and the actual curation of these maps, right? And then you publish those to your your ArcGIS Online portal, your enterprise portal. But yeah, definitely reach out to your account manager and ask. It's pretty easy to explain. Happy to also discuss it with you one-on-one if you'd like. Okay, let's
Excellent.
see.
I see Charlene Avery has asked a question. Can this be shared to NextGen 911 centers for routing?
Yeah, that's a good question. There is a partner that we're working with, GeoCom. They do a lot of NextGen 911 rapid SOS type of integration. They also are very skilled at ArcGIS Indoors and indoor map creation, so they can actually help convert data into the ArcGIS Indoors model for us. So yeah, a lot of questions about that. I would love to facilitate a call if that's a requirement for a project with, maybe with that partner or anyone else you're working with, and do that. So yeah, good question.
Wonderful. Chris Walls has commented that Esri has business partners who have earned the indoor specialty designation that can assist with deployments and maintenance.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Chris. We definitely didn't say that, so I'm glad you did. We have a large partner network. Some of those partners can do indoors work and are earning their specialty designation, and others, like you mentioned, Chris, have their specialty designation, meaning they've done successful indoors projects, and they absolutely can help with deployments and maintenance. Esri also has a professional services team that can help, or will work directly with the partner to make them, to enable them. We have a lot of customers, though, that use existing partner relationships.
Excellent. We've got a question from Irv. Does the work order capability require a third-party app, or is it part of Indoors?
Yeah, so it can be either or. So hey, Irv, good to see you. So the work order capability, you can launch to a Survey 123 form that is an application from Esri, and you can leverage that within ArcGIS Indoors. Or I mentioned some of those system integrations. If you have other work order systems that you're currently using, if it's an IBM, Maximo Tririga, or if it's some other product like that, we can launch to that instead, right? So we can actually just enable that third party launch within Indoors. So good question.
Excellent. Oh, Irv reminded me that we did have GeoCom did present their app earlier this morning, which was an excellent presentation. Charlene Avery has asked another question. Can there be a phased implementations that gives limited capabilities quickly?
Yes, and that's preferred and recommended. So initially, converting CAD to GIS, getting the visualization up and running, delivering wayfinding and routing, even doing hoteling and space planning are really easy to get started quickly. Those are really IOCs. We call them initial operating capabilities. We can deliver those as initial operating capabilities. What would be a second phase would be things like those third-party integrations with those other systems, or maybe real-time tracking or sensors. If you want to have temperature sensors or humidity sensors or indoor air quality sensors, something like that, and view that and see energy consumption across a map or something like that. That would be a phase 2. But yeah, great question.
Hey, as much as I'd love to continue these questions, we need to wrap this up because guess what? Our closing starts in 5 minutes.
Perfect. We'll wrap up then. Thanks everyone for all your questions, and it was great to be here.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much, Andy, for presenting for us, and we'll see you over at our closing session. Thank you, everyone.